Good morning, good morning, everybody. I'd like to take this time to talk about the Monsterverse. I want to talk about some of the things that I haven't been seeing anybody else talk about um, regarding the future of the Monsterverse. Well, from what I believe, and from what I've read, and from what I gather, the Monsterverse will indeed be coming to an end. And I don't think it's got anything to do with whether or not the movies are good or not. In my opinion, I think that they've been very good. I think that this is the only cinematic universe that has been working that's not the Marvel universe right now. Like, so many failed attempts, and yet this one seems to somehow have found a way to stick. And it's cool because the audience and the fan base, I'm totally one of them. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I've seen every single movie fucking thousands of times. A really big King Kong fan. I actually started off my fandom actually off of the old 1933 film. God, I was so young, but but it's always been kind of nichey or culty. It's not. I haven't met a whole lot of people that really love them all, and everybody that I do like it's very small in numbers. So I'm just kind of surprised that the MonsterVerse found a way to stick. So I've really enjoyed them. And I too have a few cool ideas about what I'd love to see them do post Godzilla versus Kong. And I'd love to personally see Gigan, and I'd love to see him get his own movie. Uh, and then Godzilla shows up, and it's like a surprise. Like, don't put him in the material, and they can get away with that. That's what the first Godzilla movie did, which is they didn't really tell you that he's going up against like a Muto, and you didn't really see them. Really, I think I remember in the trailers there'd be super really quick shots of like something, and I do remember everybody being like something's flying, and there were some people thinking that it was going to be Rodan. I actually thought that too. Funny enough, though, the Muto head shapes, to an extent, remind me of Gauss from Gamera. So when I saw the big flying Muto, I almost thought to myself, like, I was like, you should have just made it Gauss. That actually, because then that could have been your entry point to Gamera. Imagine that, right? Well, which actually brings me to my next idea, which is besides a Gigan movie that has like a hidden Godzilla that just kind of shows up in the movie, and you're like, oh shit, do a Gamera movie next. Do a Gamera movie because I personally would love to see Gamera fight Godzilla. That's been a thing that I've been wanting to see for a long time. When I was a kid, I never, even though I loved the original King Kong versus Godzilla when it came out. Well, when I saw it, I mean. And I mean, I already knew these two monsters anyway, so like going into it was really awesome, but it was never a thing that I asked for in a sense. I loved it either way, but when I was a kid, I did always want to see Gamera fight Godzilla, and I used to always be like, why isn't Gamera doing it? And so I'd love to see them make some type of deal where Gamera's doing this, and. So that would be neat. Another cool idea would be to continue the story of King Kong and maybe bring in maybe new monsters. What I noticed though is they would have to keep on talking to Toho about licensing and all that stuff because they had to license all of the characters. Now we also know that they definitely had to license Mecha Godzilla as well. I don't think that that's a spoiler. I think we all know, and I think it's going to be awesome. But, I don't know if anyone's going to go after the licensing for everybody else. There's so many monsters out there, and I really don't think that we're going to start scraping the bottom of the barrel for, like, Baragon here. So I think that it would be cool if they would start creating new monsters the way that they've been. Now, the Kong Skull Island movie did a great job at creating monsters, and it looks like they're going to do that again for the new Versus movie as well, because you got the war bats and shit, and the giant bat creatures, Kazmat. I think is what it was called. I only read the name like one time, and but I know that it's a huge bat creature, and I know it's in a prequel comic to Kong, and I think it's going to be in the movie, I think, too, as well, which is really cool. So I would love to see them do more of that, and just like create more stuff like that. And I'd love a Mothra movie, personally. I know that they killed off Mothra, but there could always be another egg. Mothra's always been the type of character that, in a sense, kind of reincarnates herself sometimes. So they could do a Mothra film, which I think would be awesome. And the cool idea for a Mothra movie would be to not feature another monster in it, to make it just about her. And the enemy would be the humans. You know, yeah, basically do almost like a remake to the original Mothra movie. And the reason why I think that that would work is that she's the smallest monster in this Monsterverse. I mean, like, literally. And so I don't know if having her go up against another monster would mean much. Only because we already saw it. She definitely was able to find a way to handle her own against Rodan to a point, which was pretty cool. Um, but something else that would be cool though is that the freshness of that is that it would be the first movie in the Monsterverse to only feature one monster, because so far every movie has been the monster's a good guy and is fighting another monster, and that's how it's been so far for every movie, and it's going to be for this new one too as well. And even some of the other movie ideas that I named, you would still be doing that. So what if you finally do one that would be a bit of a smaller film, but I mean, if somebody was going to have to start pulling my arm and be like, no, it has to be Mothra has to fight somebody, then I would have it that the eggs that were laid, I would keep it in tradition with Mothra, and the Mothra that died in King of the Monsters would have laid 2 eggs, and one egg would turn into the new Mothra, and the other egg would turn into Batra, and you could tell it like that, and that would be fine. You could also do Megaguirus, which would be another cool one, who is the one that I actually liked more anyway. So you could do that. So, but anyway, something else that I've noticed though here is that I think, well, the Monsterverse is indeed coming to an end. All of these cool ideas that we could all come up with are all neat, but I think that that's all that they're really going to be. Even if Godzilla vs. Kong does really well, like really spectacularly well, this has still, in a sense, been sort of free marketing for Toho, and Toho has been waiting since Shin Godzilla came out to create a new cinematic universe that they want to make. But I know that the deal that has been made is that as long as Legendary makes their Monsterverse, Toho will not make theirs. But Legendary only had the rights from 2014, well, really 2013, up until 2020. Now, we know that Godzilla vs. Kong's original release date was 2019, and it was then pushed back to 2020 for reasons of, I guess, the studio getting scared because King of the Monsters didn't do too well box office-wise, which was a shock to me, because I liked that one a lot more than the first one. So that was really, really fascinating to me. But yes, so I guess they lost confidence for like a little bit, and they just really wanted to push to make sure that this new one's going to be fantastic. But I feel like it's going to be fine no matter what, personally, because this already has an audience. You know what I mean? So, well, and now that we know that due to the pandemic, everything in 2020 basically pushed to now, and so this is still going to be coming out. I know it's like a year after the license was up, but technically speaking, Legendary doesn't own Godzilla anymore. Now, they can still make Kong, because Kong is a American product, and this is a lot in the similarities to when the U.S. lent Kong to Japan for a little bit, which was how they were able to make their original King Kong versus Godzilla movie. Plus, they were supposed to have him featured in 2 movies, from what I know of, and we only got one of them, which was Kong Escapes, but the other one was supposed to be, it was meant to be Ebra of the Deep. That was actually meant to feature King Kong, but instead it actually featured Godzilla instead. But I know that Japan had the rights temporarily for a time being to produce Kong films. Very similar to what we have over here. We have, or had, a limited time to do Godzilla movies. So now that it's coming up, and it's done now, Japan is going to now get to work on their new, I'm just gonna call it the Tohoverse. until like an actual name comes out, I am just gonna call it that, because Toho is mainly known for Godzilla anyway. So the Tohoverse, and so I can't say personally that I'm too particularly upset. Like, I'm bummed because I really like the Monsterverse, and I've really enjoyed where this is going, and I've liked the concepts and ideas, because it's got a lot of potential, and it still feels like it's so much in its infancy that it's kind of a shame that they have to pull the plug so quickly. With only 4 movies under their belt, really. It would have been nice to get at least maybe 2 more, but having said all that, Godzilla is a Japanese product. This is their thing. So to say that I'm upset that we can't make things off of a thing that doesn't really belong to us it's not right. Like it doesn't. What I think doesn't matter, but I can say I'm excited for the prospects of the new Tohoverse. Now, they are not going to make a sequel to Shin Godzilla, which is both a shame and not all at the same time. I really, really loved Shin Godzilla, and I loved all of the new, like, very, very eerie concepts that they threw into that movie to create a very new Godzilla monster character, and so I was hoping that we would get more of that. I know that we had the anime stuff, right? With Godzilla Earth, which I only saw the first one, and I didn't see the second 2 because I had a weird feeling about them, which is a shame because I really did want to watch them, but and I still do, but there's something kind of stopping me from actually caring for some reason. And now I know that there's a new anime series coming out with a very odd name, Godzilla Singular Point, which actually I am intrigued by it. When I saw the trailer, I am fascinated. They're bringing Jet Jaguar back. That's interesting. A character I don't like on a personal note, but that's mainly because I hate the movie. But I know that under another creator and such like that, I'm sure that they can find a way to make Jet Jaguar actually interesting. Gabra's gonna be in it. That's interesting. He only ever got 1 movie. And Titanosaurus is in it. And he's got like they all have an updated look to them, but Titanosaurus's look I really enjoy, because they really went into the like aquatic looking nature of him this time. He doesn't look